Hello delegates, welcome to Disec's webinar for the first virtual EAMUNC 2020. My name is Soham Raniga and I will be serving as the President of Disec for this conference.
I am Akshita Thomas. I will be serving as the Vice President.
Hi, I'm Jyotsna Ganesh and I'll be serving as the Rapporteur.
During the course of this webinar, you will be briefed on committee procedures, position papers, and the process of resolution making. We'll also introduce the topic that is scheduled to be discussed during the committee sessions.
Hey delegates, as Vice President of this committee, it is my honor to welcome you all to this conference. I will be assisting the Rapporteur and the President of the committee in ensuring that every procedure and agenda flows peacefully and that the delegates do not digress from the topic.
Okay delegates, let's talk about what you're supposed to do prior to the conference before going into committee specifics, that is, your research and position papers.
The background guide is a good place to start your research. However, it is imperative to understand that it alone is in no way sufficient in order to produce a fruitful discussions while in session.
I recommend that all delegates look into the past actions of the respective nations and any national or international organizations with regard to the given topic and thoroughly analyze its advantages and loopholes. This is sure to give you an upper hand in the resolution making process. This is also an alternative preparation strategy for delegates who are finding it difficult to access the required information of your own delegation.
This was all with regard to your substantive preparation, but your functional preparation is also equally important for the smooth flow of committee procedures. I urge you all to thoroughly study the rules of procedure.
You will be briefed on the same before the beginning of the committee session. And if you're still not clear, do feel free to approach us and we will explain it to you.
After you've done your basic research and reading about your topic and country, you can move on to writing your position paper.
A position paper essentially explains your opinion on the issue. Writing a position paper will help you organize your ideas so that you can share your country's position with the rest of the committee. It is broadly divided into three parts: introduction, your country's stand, and possible suggestions. Your introductory paragraph must contain a general overview of the issue on an international stand. The aspect of the issue that affects your state the most can also be a part of your introduction.
In the next part of your position paper, you have to explain your country's stance on the issue and a few existing policies. This paragraph deals with the present situation of your country with regard to this issue and past actions taken. Keep in mind that this section of your position paper will be exclusive to your country only.
The third and the final part of your position paper deals with possible solution to the issue at hand. This will be the most important part of your position paper as it showcases your ideas and opinions, what you feel is the best course of action. In EMUNC, we are more focused on arriving at consensual solution than on cutthroat debate. Hence, this is the part of your position paper that will probably help you the most during the conference.
Your position paper must be a page long. You can take it to 1.5 pages, but try not exceeding that as that will cause a lot of inconvenience for us. You can use the font Times New Roman and font size 12. Please note that your position paper should be in paragraphs, minimum 3.
At the end of your position paper, you need to mention your bibliography, that is, names of sites or links that you have visited in order to write your paper, essentially your source of information. Remember that it is extremely important to include all the sites that you have used in your bibliography. Please note that direct plagiarism is strictly forbidden and will not be tolerated. Maximum percentage allowed is 15%, and all your papers will be checked for it.
Coming to the committee sessions, each session begins with a roll call, wherein the rapporteur will call out the names of the member states in alphabetical order. Delegates are expected to raise their hand and say present when the country has been called out. The roll call is the first thing you do in the committee. It is very important to be on time for the roll call. It shows how punctual and organized you are. In case a delegate arrives after the roll call, he or she is expected to send a private message to the rapporteur confirming their presence.
After the initial roll call has been taken, we will start the general debate. All the delegates who wish to give a speech about the description of their country's stance on the issues that are to be discussed in the committee can raise their virtual hands and will be added to the general speakers list.
Your position paper provides the basic information to include in your speech. The speech time will be pre-decided by us, but I advise you to keep it between 60 to 90 seconds. Should you exceed the time limit, we may have to cut short your speech so as to ensure that every speaker on the list gets a chance to voice their opinion. This is the time for you to defend your country, to protect your country's sovereignty, to give suggestions and show the amount of research you have done. Try to stay attentive at all times during the committee sessions. It will be great to find out the different views and each country's stance on the topic. Facts gathered during general debate can be helpful for your informal, resolution writing, and lobbying.
Please refer to the rules of procedure for a better understanding on how the conference proceeds.
The topic that we have, regulation of private military contractors, talks about how the demand for private military services, such as mercenaries, is spiking up rapidly. This is because there is no specific international legal regime for the same. Rather, states are generally very reluctant to commit to new regulations which restricts the scope of sovereign decisions.
While it is more robust than past efforts to assert control over the industry, the record is non-binding, which means parties have no commitment to follow the agreement. A key insight of this volume is that an applicable framework does already exist. Although insufficient and implemented ineffectively, it provides a very valuable starting point for progress.
After intensive research and study, you as a delegate would know that what the needs of the hour are and how you expect international organizations to function and how you would like to formulate rules or laws. Naturally, you will be more informed about what this world needs. Delegates will be put into pre-assigned blocks by the Bureau and they will carry out their formation of working papers in separate breakout rooms.
A working paper is the term given to a document which is in due course of time would formally be adopted as a resolution. In the simplest of terms, a resolution is a document that highlights the current threats recognized by the committee along with well-detailed and comprehensive solutions, covering all aspects and dimensions of the multifaceted issues. Guidelines on drafting a working paper are outlined in the next section of this manual.
Once each block has completed formulating their working papers, we move on to an important phase, that is, merging of various block positions to form a single complete draft resolution. This process is known as the Vienna formula and is facilitated by the Bureau. One representative from each block will be seated together, with the president acting as the mediator and engage in dialogue in order to effectively merge the individual working papers. These representatives are not fixed and will be allowed to rotate. The representatives may also consult other members of their blocks. Once the working papers are merged, the draft resolution will be submitted to the president. A draft resolution must have a maximum of 3 sponsors.
Once the draft resolution has been approved by the Bureau, it will be displayed for all the delegates. Following this will be a line-by-line review of the draft resolution. Delegates can utilize this opportunity to make amendments. Changes by the committee as a whole are called amendments, and each draft amendment must be formally proposed to the conference. A proposed amendment can add a paragraph, delete a paragraph, or modify an existing paragraph. The delegate making an amendment must support his or her claim with reasoning.
Sponsors of the draft resolution are not permitted to make amendments, yet they play a crucial role in deciding which amendments finally make it to the draft resolution. For an amendment to be adopted, it has to firstly be approved by the sponsors of the draft resolution and, more importantly, by the committee as a whole. There is no voting on amendments. An amendment is incorporated into the final document only once it has been adopted by consensus. Those amendments that are not adopted by consensus are marked for further review. The same procedure follows until every paragraph of the draft resolution has been covered.
The amendments marked for further review are taken up subsequently in an informal session until all delegates unite in agreement. Once all the changes have been made and amendments have been added, the committee moves into the action phase. At this point in time, the president will ask the delegates if there are any objections to the draft resolution. If there are none, the draft resolution is adopted by consensus and is renamed Resolution 1.1.
A consensus is coming to an agreement while respecting differences of opinion and thoughts. It is also acknowledging the fact that perspectives can vary. However, the gaps between different ideas have to be filled respectfully. Therefore, a committee has to come to common grounds and conclude as one voice.
Discussion should aim towards building a consensus. And for those who are not familiar with the term consensus, it is where everyone's opinions are heard and understood by every other member in the group, and a solution is created that respects those opinions. Consensus is not what everyone agrees to, nor is it the preference of the majority. Consensus results in the best solution of the group can achieve at that time. Remember that the root of consensus is consent. This means that even if parties disagree, there is still overall consent to move forward in order to settle the issue. This requires cooperation among editors with different interests and opinions.
Also, in case of any queries, do feel free to contact any of us as we are here to help you.
Good luck to all of you. We sincerely hope that you have a memorable and, more importantly, an educational conference.
We're looking forward to meeting you all soon.